am Benjamin Franklin, and I was born January 17th, 1706. And I was number 15 in my family, which, as you might know, would be very big. I was born on Nook Street in Boston, and my father owned a candle shop called the Blue Ball, and I loved to read. That was mostly what I did. And my father wanted me to be a minister, but I had two strikes against that. One, I was born on a Sunday, and if you're born on a Sunday, you're supposed to be the devil's child. And plus, I was a lefty, and that's another mark of the devil. My father would punish me if he caught me catching a ball or writing with my left hand. Didn't work. I stayed a lefty for life. I also love to swim and fly kites. One day I had this crazy idea. Why don't I fly a kite and swim at the same time? So I laid down on my back in the water. I took a kite, and guess what happened? It pulled me across the lake. I wanted to make a pier for this lake, so I went to a construction site and actually stole some of the rocks to make this pier. And the men who are building the house saw that they were missing some stones for the house. So then my father went down to the lake. He found all the rocks put in like a pier, and he told me to put all those rocks back at the construction site. And when I was 12 or 13, I became an apprentice to my own brother. And I was a printer's apprentice. And I believe I had to work for 7 years until I could get a paid job as a printer. But when I was 17, that changed. My brother was trying to put a point to the other apprentices that he didn't like me that much. And one day, I ran away. I had a private cruise to New York. And there, I stayed for a while, and then I went to Philadelphia. And I stayed there in Miss Deborah Reed's house, and I wanted to be a printer very much. So I went to the nearest printing area, and there was already too many people working there. So a nice man named William said I could open up my own printing shop. Of course, I had to get the supplies from England. So he said he was going to write a letter, and it would be sent to England when I'm there, and it would say that I would get a printer and all the supplies I need. But the letter was never wrote, and it was never sent. So I was stuck there for a while. I did many things in England, but when I came back to America, there were many things that I did. One thing was, I think you might all know, is I flew a kite in a lightning storm. This is a very special pipe. It had a metal pole through the middle of it. A wire came down to it to a key. On the other side was some twine that came out. And me and my son, William Franklin, had to run up and down a field about 3 times to get it actually to fly. Then we started flying it in the safety of a barn. I kept on trying to get a shock, but I grabbed onto the key, there'd be nothing. Kept on grabbing onto the key, there'd be nothing. But then when lightning hit the pole, I grabbed onto the key. It shocked me badly. That could have been my last year alive. I also brought a leaden jar with me. Now it has a very special wire that comes out of it. It has water inside of it, and it has a metal foil around it. So I took that out of my pocket during the shock. I grabbed onto the wire, and you won't believe what happened. The leaden jar lit up. Another thing I did is, after that, I made the lightning rod. Before that, when lightning struck a house, it would catch on fire. With my lightning rod, it would strike the rod, and there would be a wire at the bottom of the rod. It would go down to the ground. The lightning would not hit the house, it hit the rod and go to the ground. And after a while, there were many houses with lightning rods. I also went back to the idea of being a printer. And I was able to be a printer, and I made Poor Richard's Almanac, which I think you all might know. I also created the Pennsylvania Gazette, and I wrote very good articles in my paper. And in the almanac, it was supposed to be written by a man named Richard. He was supposed to be poor, but a very likable man. And Poor Richard's almanac told of how the weather would be the next year, so the farmers would know when to plant their crops. And I also printed money. And if you would like, you can pass this around.
Thank you so much.
I did very many things in my life. I made an instrument called the harmonica, spelled the same way as a harmonica, only without the H. It'd be this huge case. It would have a pole through it, and the pole would have these glass bowls. They'd be wet, and I'd crank it around, put my fingers on the bowls, and it would make beautiful music. I also tried to bake a turkey with electricity. So what I did is I took 6 or 5 leaden jars, and I put them around it, connected to wires, and then I put them all on the turkey. After that, all I had bones, no turkey. Because the electricity was there was too much electricity, and it completely burnt the turkey. I also made the Franklin stove, and it is a very special stove. There's the output where you burn your fire, and then there'll be a box in the back, and it has the smoke go through it, and then up through your chimney. In Poor Richard's Almanac, I also made up sayings. One saying I said was, "A penny earned, a penny saved." And I took my son William to England, and we had a wonderful time there. He went to law school and became a lawyer, and personally, by King George himself, presented my son William the Royal Governor of New Jersey. Of course, that's a very big honor, actually seeing George, and so we went back to America, and I heard that while I was in France, Deborah wasn't doing too well. So before that, the colonists had heard that I wasn't fighting against the British taxes. So they tried to attack my home. And Deborah, she stood on the front door with a gun and protected our home. And sadly, she died a couple of years after that. I spent a lot of my life in the Gulf Stream, seeing how it worked. And during the Revolutionary War, I stayed in France trying to convince the king to help us fight the British. After the Battle of Saratoga, they were convinced. And I stayed there for the rest of the war. I came back, and I didn't do much after that. I stayed home, and during the Revolutionary War, my son William was captured because he did not agree with me to go with the Americans. So he was put in jail. And sadly, we became pure enemies. And it's sad to think about, but yes. I also had an idea. I would take a black patch of clothes, a gray patch of clothes, and a white patch. I'd put it in the snow on a very sunny day. I'd come back, and I saw that the black was deeper in the snow than the gray or the white. And it actually looked like this. And I figured out that the darker the color, the more light it attracts, so the hotter it gets. I spent my last years in my bed at home with my children, and died April 17, 1790.